Yo, yo. This man Jeff done got suspended from work. Rent due. She, Mr. 52. KT2 to go. Got that white AJ Brown jersey on the way. J. Frank, Mr. Swerve. Joe Blacko, what up? We here. Spitting on you. Better be a female spitting on you. In a whole different way. All right, y'all, we back. We in the shop with it. I took an extra 1 minute because I had to finish eating my pretzels. I didn't want to be smacking in y'all face. Hope y'all having a good Thursday. Not a lot going on in the NFL, but since my last several Tennessee Titans post and content related pieces, I said, let's just unpack this and put this to bed, because they're almost at a point where, like, you could be right by saying take Bain and you could be right by saying take Love. Nobody knows how the draft is going to play out and how people are going to progress as players. But one thing I have a problem with is when somebody's like, you're wrong for saying take Bain, or you're wrong for saying take Love. Really, if you want to look at the Tennessee Titans like John Madden football, how many X factors are on the Tennessee Titans? Not many, right? There's not many X factor players on the team, right? Tennessee Titans 53 looks better than it did last year, obviously. But it's at the point that when you're going into the draft and they have all this extra cap space now going forward, the Titans need to add star power. And when you look at the draft, you want your stars to come through the draft and develop, because you're drafting on potential. Not what this player is today. What can this player look like at the end of their first contract? What does a quarterback look like year 3 going into year 4? What did that project edge rusher like Femi turn into by year 3? What is J.C. Latham going to look like this year? Look how Skoronski turned out, converted tackle to guard. Now coming into his contract year, he's looked at as one of the top guards in the league. So that's how I think people need to get out of saying you're wrong if you take Love or you're wrong if you take Bain. We have to do X, Y, Z. No, the Tennessee Titans have 9 draft picks, and they have to add the best players available to say that at the end of this season, some young players that they brought in free agency and some young players they brought in through the draft now have abilities on John Madden football. They have an X factor over their head. Last season, Jeffrey Simmons is going to have a big star under his body on the game. When you look at Chimere Dike, he's going to have return man over his head. What players can the Tennessee Titans add like they did when they came from Houston to say Steve McNair has a star on his head, Eddie George has a star on his head, Javon Kearse has a star on his head? We need to get more players now to have stars on their head. Because when you look at teams that are perennial powers like the Eagles, when you say Devontae Smith has a star, AJ Brown has a star, Jalen Hurts has a star, Saquon Barkley has shooting stars everywhere on both sides of the football, and that's what you want to add. So the question really is, which one of these guys do you think at the end of this rookie contract is going to be a Pro Bowl caliber player in the NFL? And that's the question you got to ask yourself. And if you go Jeremiah Love first, like in mock drafts, I picked Zion Young second. Can you pick an edge rusher in the second that's going to turn into a starting caliber edge rusher for the Tennessee Titans? Like, people were willing to give up 2 firsts for Max Crosby. Max Crosby is a 4th round pick. People are willing to trade for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was a 2nd round pick. He was not a 1st round pick. So I think, you can get star players in any round. Obviously, Tom Brady was the final round, Mr. Irrelevant damn near. But you just got to look at this draft and say, can the Tennessee Titans draft and develop stars? They haven't been able to do that in some time and retain them. So that's why I think when you're looking at this draft, I don't think you're going to be wrong going either way, because there may be another running back in the draft that winds up being a better running back than Jeremiah Love. Could it be Jarian Price? Could it be Mike out of Arkansas? Can it be Jamari Taylor out of Virginia? Can it be Henry out of UTSA? Is it Nick Singleton? There's a lot of these teams that had 2 backs that were really good on their teams, like Notre Dame, Penn State. So who knows who's going to turn into that next back when you look at Ashton Genty being a 1st rounder, but then looking at Kyle Monangai, or then again, that 1st rounder could turn out to be Jahmyr Gibbs. And then you got somebody that's a complete weapon for your offense. And on defense, you could be adding Ruben Bain, Arvell Reese, or David Bailey, who could turn out to be like James Pierce Jr. and almost have 10 sacks in his rookie season before getting in some off the field trouble. But then where's Abdul Carter? The people that saying you can't miss drafting Bain. Abdul Carter was supposed to be the second coming. This guy's challenging Lawrence Taylor for his number and wind up getting benched. So I think both of these guys can be good on the Tennessee Titans. I just have to get in the mind of Mike Bergonzi, Chad Brinker, Burke Nahill, Reggie McNeil, and Ziegler. I mean, Tennessee Titans have 5 general managers in office. Like, somebody's got to sit down and come up with the scout department to make this oh so tough decision. Me personally, in all my mocks, recently I've been taking Jeremiah Love just because of what he could add to the team. Because the Tennessee Titans don't have anybody that can score the football. I mean, Derrick Henry, we were one of the best red zone offenses in the league post Derrick Henry. If it's 2nd and short, 3rd and short, 4th and short, 1st and goal, we're kicking field goals the last 2 years, because we don't have anybody that when you get in scoring position can put the ball in the end zone. I think with this draft and this free agent period, anybody else they bring in, you got to bring somebody in mind if they're on the offensive side of the board. Can this person score touchdowns? And if you're looking at the defensive side of the ball, Tennessee Titans didn't have any defensive cornerbacks that ended the year on the Titans roster that had interceptions. Roger McCreary had 1, Xavier Woods had 2, and that's it. There's no takeaways. Outside of Jeffrey Simmons getting pressure in the backfield, strip sacking the quarterback, there's no edge rushers that's getting home one-on-one consistently. And when we did have one in Draymond Jones, they traded him. So it's just interesting to see how the fan base looks at this upcoming draft, and it's so divided. So much so that I was very confused when I said we should get Najee Harris for $2.5 million after Brian Robinson signed with the Falcons. There was a section of the fan base that think that Najee Harris is washed. It's like, so Najee Harris had 1 injured season where he played 15 snaps. The 4 years before that, he's a 1,000-yard back. If Mike Bergonzi ever gets a 1,000-yard season out of Khalil Mullins or Tajay Spears, we're going to say that these guys are geniuses. Because I don't see Khalil Mullins or Tajay Spears ever having a 1,000-yard season. You're going to get somebody who's done it 4 times, got injured last year, and only played 15 snaps, is ahead of the schedule on his rehab. Like, you have to add people that can score. I would have loved to see Najee Harris and Jeremiah Love in the backfield. So much so as some of the edge rushers that we did miss out on, but Ruben Bain with Jermaine Johnson and Femi and Josh, that would be a nice rotation, because you could kick out Jeffrey Simmons or Jonathan Franklin Myers on pass rush downs. It's a lot you do. So it's just they got to make a decision on which one they want to go. And I just get irritated at the fan base that just gets so one-sided when it comes down to this thing. So I'm playing devil's advocate today. Today I'm playing devil's advocate. So let me get caught up with y'all questions. He said love at 4 is great, but we still need an edge later on. In all my mock drafts, if I take Jeremiah Love 1, I take edge 2 and wide receiver 3. Now, if we wouldn't have got Ridley back on the deal we got him back on, and I would have been saying wide receiver 2. Rent, do what up? Mona Lisa in the cut. Simmons and Cam. Cam Ward wouldn't have a superstar in his name right now. He wouldn't. Do what the Texans did and go back to back. I mean, I'd be willing to give up some draft capital to get Jeremiah Love and Ruben Bain. I just don't see it happening because there's too many other teams that got multiple first round picks for us to make that type of play. John, what up? Tighten up, Stevie B. Randy Moss. Reds. I can see Howell. Which Howell? 5 GMs and Amy. And somehow Joe Flacco, there's a section of the fan base that don't think they're trying. Or they're poorly ran. Like, listen, they got 5 GMs and the owner. Ready for the draft to happen tomorrow? That's no fun, man. You want to have some anticipation. You need to know for sure, but it won't be for sure. I mean, you could add Ruben Bain and bolster the defense and try to get a running back later, which that might work. You know, you might get Ruben Bain at 4 and, add in a receiver second, and then a running back like Jadarian Price may fall to you in the 3rd, and he might turn out to be a new DeMarco Murray type of back or something. Who knows? But they got one strong decision to make, so I'm playing devil's advocate of the pros and cons of what you could get. But I was just really irritated at the fans that would be against Najee Harris for like less than $1 million more than Julius Chestnut. I don't see how the fan base always wants Mason Kinsey gone, always wants Julius Chestnut gone, all those type of players. They always want them gone. And then when you give them like an easy solution, like how is it you believe in Tajay Spears, but you don't believe in Najee Harris? And you're questioning to say Najee Harris got injured last year and missed some time. Tajay Spears misses time every year, so what difference does it make? If when the player is healthy, is this person capable of being great? So let's stay on task. Ruben Bain, Jeremiah Love. Let me see y'all pros and cons. My pros for Ruben Bain is it gives you, if you went edge with Bailey Reese or Ruben Bain, you're saying that like pass rush is at a premium of what you want on your defense, and that's going to be the calling card of the Tennessee Titans. If they think we have a good enough defense, we need to score points. We're talking about a team that went from 2021 all the way up until last season without scoring 30 points. Tennessee Titans went a long time without scoring 30 points. So I think this is going to tell us a little bit about how the front office views the team in the future. Also, that a team that has had a problem scoring and is horrible in the red zone, if they go with Jeremiah Love, they're saying we're going to score points and we're gonna put some pressure on opposing teams' defenses. And that's what they want to set a precedent on. I'm ready for it to happen. I could get pros and cons against it. You know, like if you go with Ruben Bain and Jeremiah Love turns out to be the next Saquon Barkley, you're going to be kicking yourself if Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, Khalil Mullins, Julius Chestnut don't get the job done. And if you go Jeremiah Love and he winds up you know, being more of a Swiss Army knife than something that you can count on and not a feature back. And then Ruben Bain turns out to be a double-digit sack guy for the next 5 or 10 years. You're gonna be kicking yourself that you could have put him next to Jeffrey Simmons, John Franklin Myers, Femi Oladipo, and Jermaine Johnson. Because the scary part about it is Jermaine Johnson has only got a 1-year deal, and we still don't know if Femi's gonna turn out to be the player that we want him to be. And that's a scary thought. Said Bain would get 1-on-1 every week. Either way, I'm fine. Yeah, I took a wide receiver in my 3rd round. I took Jacoby Lane. Nah, that's too much, Sheed. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that might be asking for too much. If I had to go with my gut would say take Jeremiah Love. Just because I think he can be special. I think he could be something that could push the Titans offense over the edge. Even so much so that if they weren't able to get a receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round, I still think his impact on the offense and how the offense will operate would be special. I wanted to pair him with Najee Harris and cut Pollard, because I think that gives you a 1-2 punch. It takes the pressure off of Spears. Spears is on his last year. You still got Mullins, and then you put Mullins in Chestnut's role. Chestnut will be on the practice squad. I don't think anybody's signing Chestnut off the practice squad, off of our practice squad, anyways. I think that would make the offense like kind of dynamic. When the Tennessee Titans ran the football in the second half of last year, it looked like a totally different offense. I think having a player like Love on the field would increase every wide receiver and the O-line as well as Cam. But, you know, if Ruben Bain turns out to be, you know, what we all think he could be, like a game wrecker, putting him with those monsters on the D-line, knowing you don't have to pay him for 4 years, could turn out to be something that, like, puts us in one of the top defenses in the NFL. Seeing as last year's defense, Super Bowl was a defensive struggle, and the Chiefs got dominated by the Eagles the year before. Got to be able to get stops. I really think it comes down to like how they view their board. If they think that there's a better chance that they could get more edge rushers to fit that scheme, that could give them the same productivity and pressure rates of Ruben Bain, where there's no real fall off, or even better, then go for it. Or if they think that there's another back in the draft that they're going to take that they feel can do everything that Jeremiah Love can do. If we're banking on the defense to keep us in games and be a big part of the team and let the offense catch up, would you not go offense in the draft just to help Cam and the offense catch up? That's kind of my thought. My thought is like running back is not a monetary premium position, but then I looked at Jahmyr Gibbs' contract. Jahmyr Gibbs is getting $4.4 a year, $4.5 million a year for a weapon like that for the next four years is would be incredible. Because I'm just thinking of the last 2 years. Tennessee Titans defense was not the problem in the first halves of the season. The problem was we could not score, and we could not pick up first downs. We could not flip the field. So if I'm going on that merit, if the last two things I did was draft Jeremiah Love, sign Najee Harris, and draft one more receiver at pick 65, 101. At one of those two picks, like I would be very content coming in the next season, offensively, barring that they bring back Zietler and make a decision at center. Cam will for sure let's fumble. Cam needs love. I'm cool with Zion Young or R. Mason in a second. I got Zion Young, so my mock draft goes Jeremiah Love, Zion Young, Jacoby Lane. Honestly, a tough call. They better have a great plan for Cam if we take edge at 4. Yeah, that would be the fear. The fear would be we take edge at 4 and the defense is great and Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears can't get it done in contract years. And we're sitting over there at some point in the season playing like Tajay Spears and Khalil Mullins as our 2 running backs in a game, knowing that you can't give Tajay the ball 20 to 25 times a game. Like I think that's my problem. I think that's my problem with it. Like you gotta have an option at running back. And I'm just still lost at how people didn't see the Najee play, because all the 49ers seen that they were in play for Najee Harris and saying Christian McCaffrey and Najee Harris would be great. Guys don't have a lot of tread on him. Yes, he's coming off a major surgery, but Calvin Ridley and Femi and Jermaine Johnson was all coming off of injuries too as well. But you don't question that. So B. Walker, what it do, player? It's gonna be a tough decision though. I would not envy being Mike Berganzi, being trusted to make this pick. But then again, here's the other side of it as we're playing devil's advocate. What if at 2 or at 3, Jeremiah Love and Ruben Bain are both gone? See, we playing devil's advocate today, and I'm having some real fun with this. What if the Jets and the Cardinals take Ruben Bain and Jeremiah Love off the board, or like let's say the Jets take Ruben Bain at 2 and the Cardinals trade out and another team behind trades up into 3 and drafts Jeremiah Love in front of us. Like that's also a thought. What if they're both off the board and we're sitting there at 4 and there's no Love or Bain? I'm pretty sure people at this point seeing Arvell Reese's pro day would probably start screaming for David Bailey. But if I'm the Titans and both of them guys came off the board, depending on how they feel about David Bailey or Arvell Reese, you might be looking to try to trade out of 4 if that happens. Because the Cardinals have been known to trade out of their high draft picks over the years. How crazy would that be? Yo, my dog, she with the gifted sub. Let me teach you how to vibe. Dragging stickers in the chat. My dog with not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 gifted subs. To the 5 people that got those gifted subs, man. Drop some stickers in the chat, man. Let me teach you how to vibe. That's love, she. That's a question to think about though. Like, what if they're dead set on Love and somebody trades up and gets him? Or what if they're set on Bain and Bain goes? Like, what do the Titans do then? Like can they find a partner to trade out of? Because I don't know if anybody else would be willing to trade up right after the Cardinals would trade out of 3. I think the Jets are going to stick and pick at 2, but the Cardinals could very well make a trade. I've seen the reemergence of the conversation about Carnell Tate at 4. Carnell Tate could turn out to be the guy. Like if let's say we go Love or Bain and Carnell Tate turns out to be JSN, like then we'd be kicking ourselves over that. I just think whatever decision they make, they have to commit to it throughout the whole draft and the rest of the free agent period. I don't think you could come into the situation saying if this. I think you just got to have a set plan. If you're going Jeremiah Love, you take him no matter what happens, and you make the rest of the moves you want to make along with that, regardless of what happens. I think if your goal is to say defense, and you go edge at 4, then you have to be willing to you have to be hit that subscribe, like, comment, share. Tap into the daily uploads at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you missed the live streams, we got picture in picture. And if I don't get to any questions during the live streams or the pods, drop them in the comments. I'll make it part of the weekly mailbag. If you're following on the blue, smash those reactions. I know you're OG. Hit that like, comment, share, tap into the daily content that is the shop. If you're new to the shop, you definitely should be tapped in on the green. No ads, up to 50 emotes free for just being a follower. You do not have to be a supporter to unlock picture in picture, late night streams. Follow us on Kick. We also live on Twitch. Look out for the drops, as well as if you have Amazon Prime, it's free $99 to sub to the channel once a month. Don't let Jeff Bezos stick that money back in his pocket. If you don't use it on the shop, use it on another content creator that you like. I still call it Twitter, but follow us on X. We tweet back. Yo, if you missed the daily shop talks, make sure you tap in for the late night cap on the purple and the green. The Discord is always open. Outside of subs, donos, and cash apps, is also another way to support the content. That's by grabbing a trucker hat, a bandana, hoodies, the classic barbershop, Vibe Nation, right out of the official merch store on Tactic, formerly known as Geeks Unleashed. Code Buddha at checkout to get a discount. I like Brazel better than Tate. I think Brazel could turn out to be George Pickens in the draft. That's the thing about this draft, is like there's a couple of guys at non-premium positions that everybody feels sure of, like Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, Jeremiah Love. I think if Jordan Tyson wasn't hurt, he'd be wide receiver 1. That's the interesting part about it, is like those aren't gonna be your first 5 picks. So I'm trying to see like exactly how. That's why I'm playing devil's advocate to say like what's the pros and cons of taking one over the other. I think you just have to commit your full draft board on which one you rather go with. I don't take pictures of Cowboy stuff. I don't want it on my phone. All right, y'all got any questions, man? These kids is like making so much noise and I'm so irritated, but what can you do? Love at 4 and Sonny is gone at pick 35 for us. Would you go Jacob Rodriguez? No. I think Jacob Rodriguez would be a good linebacker, but I don't think Sonny Styles ever was going to be picked. Playing for center and right guard. Ziegler will be back if they don't draft a right guard high overall in the draft. My plan is this. My plan is this. My plan is bring Zietler back. My plan is bring Zietler back, and you got Sloatman and Jackson Slater to play center. If Cushenberry would have came in camp and then medically not been ready to go or got injured in the season, we was gonna be looking like this anyway. So I feel confident if you got more Scoro, Zietler, Latham flanking Sloatman or Slater, I feel good. But in my mock, I took Pat Coogan, center from Indiana. There's a couple centers that people feel like are day one centers. And if the Titans so choose to burn pick 65 or pick 101 on a guy they feel like is a day one center, then shoot, go forward. And if he wins the job over Sloatman and Jackson Slater, that means he's every bit as good as what Cush would have been anyway. So I think that's solid. But unless they decide to go Glasgow or Posick and bring in like a older, more veteran guy, then I can see them not bringing Slater back and then doing that. I mean, not bringing Zietler back and then letting Volson and Slater and Dellinger fight it out for the right guard spot, and then have a veteran center. I wouldn't want a rookie center dealing helping Cam right there in the middle. I think that would be too much. You want some solidification. So that's my thought process of center right guard. When you just looking at this mock draft, like Titans got to commit to. They got to commit to saying, like, if they go edge, I still would like to see them pick up Najee Harris. But if you go edge, you know, at 66, you could be looking at Jadarian Price. They prioritize Zietler, so I mean, seeing Zietler come back, I really believe Zietler would like to be back in Nashville if they don't pick a high overall pick at right guard. You know, Katrin Allen, Coleman, Nick Singleton, Henry out of UTSA, Jamari Taylor. It's a lot of guys I like, you know, and like a lot of people love Mike Washington. If you miss on Jeremiah Love, like if Mike Washington or Jadarian Price is there, you know you can see them taking a strike at that. Even though wide receivers at a premium, getting Ridley back, never Wandale. A lot of people don't believe in that, but if you're gonna pick a wide receiver at 66 or 101, it's just like, where do you believe these guys will be? I think you got to really trust your board. Like if you're going to pick 4, 35 and 66, 101, you got 4 swings in the top 100. I just think you got to feel good and just trust the board and stick with it. I don't think it's going to be possible though, like the Browns got 2 first rounds, the Jets got 2 first rounds, the Cowboys got 2 first rounds. It's too many teams like that can make a play. The Chiefs got 2 first rounders. Like, it's too many teams that can make a play for us to be able to get back in at 6. I mean, that's the thing. Like, to me personally, I think if you're looking at Ruben Bain, David Bailey, Keldrick Falk, Arvell Reese, Mesidor, TJ Parker, Malachi Lawrence, Zion Young, Cassius Howell, R. Mason Thomas, Dennis Sutton. I feel like with what we already have, if you saying TJ Parker at 35 or Mesidor or Zion Young, like, is that is there really any much different? Like if Ruben Bain just don't turn out to be a complete game wrecker, like I think we all feel good about Jeremiah Love, but that's why I was like of the intention of saying like cut Pollard and get Najee Harris, and then if you miss on Jeremiah Love and you getting Spears last year with Najee, who is 1,000-yard back when healthy. Then you go and get another home run hitter later. You might get Price or somebody later, or Nick Singleton, a guy that can really go the distance. I don't know. Like this has been one of the biggest devil's advocate situations I've ever seen, just because it's like I don't think it's a wrong answer in this situation. The Tennessee Titans have so little amount of blue chip superstar players that Ruben Bain, if you took Ruben Bain, you're going to say, like, he's the guy you expect to get home on third down. If you took Jeremiah Love, I think it would be a safe bet in Vegas saying that Jeremiah Love will have the most touchdowns on offense for the Tennessee Titans. Bain got more questions than Love. Like, to me, even though they all could be good, like, Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain, David Bailey don't jump off the page for me like some of the defensive players I've seen in the top 5, top 10 last few years. Like Travis Hunter coming out, like his athleticism, knowing if you wanted to play him at corner, it's nobody really didn't just jumped off the page. The people that jump off the page play non-premium positions like Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles. When you talk about like athleticism and talent that just jump off the page, like I think Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs are gonna be better pros than the three guys in front of them. Mansour Delane, I think is gonna be a day one goon at cornerback. I couldn't say that like later in the first round that like Keldrick Falk, Caden McDonald, Mesidor might be bigger impact players on the teams that they go to. So I think if I'm really like looking at this truly from devil's advocate point of view, I think you really gotta say Jeremiah Love is the safer pick for the Tennessee Titans. I honestly think that because like it was Arvell Reese, and then they didn't like his being. Then it was David Bailey, and then people start getting off the David Bailey train. Now, lately, it's been a late push for Ruben Bain because of his pro day workouts and seeing his athleticism to really bend at his size. But then if he gets in the league and those short arms become a problem, and he just becomes a rotational pass rusher, like, then what? You're going to cringe every time you see Jeremiah Love do his love sign in the end zone. I mean, Infinite John, like that's the thing I'm saying is like, I don't feel confident that if like, this is not like taking Javon Curse. This is not like drafting Albert Haynesworth. Like this is like drafting like and kind of hoping. I honestly think when I play the devil's advocate part of the game, I think Jeremiah Love is a safer pick for the Tennessee Titans, just because he's gonna make every other player on offense that much better. Like I could take Jeremiah Love at 1, and then take an edge and a cornerback or an edge and a safety the next 2 picks. Or edge and a linebacker. Like my next 2 picks could be defense, and then when we get into wide receivers, down the line, like if you wanted to get into wide receivers in the 2nd and 3rd round, like where they got them sitting: Chris Bell, Denzel Boston, Chris Brazel, Jeremy Bernard, Skylar Bell, Ted Hurst, Jacoby Lane, Zachariah Branch, like Malachi Fields. Like I feel better that I could get a good receiver to go into our mix at 66 and 101. Like I I don't feel like if I like what's the difference between the guys I just named and Mekhi Lemon and Omar Cooper to me. Like I just don't see it being. I think the guys that they got slated at second and third round at receiver are going to be better than the first round receivers, and it's a good chance that like T.J. Parker, Zion Young, and Cassius Howell, R. Mason Thomas winds up being like goon edge rushers over the Keldrick Fox and the Arvell Reeses. Like, I you know, like picking up Harold Perkins Jr. or Deontay Lawson later at linebacker outside of Sonny Styles, like I'm not really tripping, bro. Like that's the way I see it. I think Jeremiah Love gets double-digit touchdowns next season if he's picked at 4. Right, Joe Blacko. Like, there's no Will Anderson, there's no Myles Garrett, there's no 300-pound Jalen Carter running tight end 40 times. Ted Hurst and Bryce Lance. Like the guys that I took at wide receiver later in my mock was always Brazel, Jeremy Bernard, Jacoby Lane, Zachariah Branch, Malachi Fields. You know, I want a dunker, so I kind of looked in that road. I just think like it would say Jeremiah Love would fit the Tennessee Titans a little bit better, personally. That's my personal thoughts. All right, y'all got any more questions for Le Boy? And I apologize too. Like this content today has not been my best work. I literally started with things that I had on my mind that I wanted to get through, and that I kind of was ready to go. And then like all these kids been literally crashing out. At the moment I said I was decided, I thought them going to the trampoline park that they would be calm and sit in there and play their games, but obviously not. They're gonna make every single noise and everybody's gonna stand out here and yell the whole time I'm live. So I apologize to y'all for the breaks in the content. This has not been my best work, not been my finest hour, but I appreciate y'all being here. Plenty of money to fix the whole Stevie B. That's what I think, Joe Blacko. I think when you got Gunnerham and you got Bellinger and you got a couple other tight ends, and I think when you got Wandale and Calvin Ridley and DK, Aomana, Bryce Oliver, Restrepo, I think if you added like a wide receiver at 66 or 101 and an edge rusher in the second, and throw a couple offensive linemen in there like I did in my mock, and if they went and got Najee Harris, I would just feel so much better. Like, let me show it to y'all so y'all can see. Let me show it to y'all so y'all can see exactly what I mean. Like if you cut Pollard and put that like if you cut Pollard right here and put $7 million in your pocket, and you move Khalil Mullins to the Julius Chestnut role, Tajay Spears is running back 3. If you went to get Najee Harris and you put Najee Harris right here at running back 2 and Jeremiah Love at running back 1, Jeremiah Love, Najee Harris, Tajay Spears, and Khalil Mullins, and put Julius Chestnut on practice squad, you will only spend $2.5 million on Najee, and Jahmyr Gibbs' rookie deal is $4.5 million a year. You're really telling me you're gonna have Jeremiah Love and Najee Harris for the same price as Tony Pollard? If you don't think that doesn't help Cam Ward in the offensive line, with having Ridley, DK, Wandale, Bryce Oliver, Aomana, and Restrepo, and a wide receiver at 66 or 101, I just think that adds some level of dynamic that we haven't seen on our offense since probably like when we had Julio, AJ, and Derek. Like that was something that made other teams perk up. And if you went through the draft following my mock, you'd have Pat Coogan here at center with Sloatman and Jackson Slater, and you have Zietler brought back in at right guard, and then right here you have Crenshaw, Dixon, or Udo. Like, I think that's very dynamic. And I even took the tight end from Ole Miss, Daquan Wright, that would be here, that would push David Martin Robinson to the practice squad, and Kylan Granson would be right here in the fourth tight end next to the fourth running back. I think that's when you could add some in. And if you really wanted to, if you added Glasgow or Posick in there, like, I think at the stage we're in, none of this is really going to cost money. I really do. Because I think what they would be able to do with having Thomas and Elliott and having some depth at edge is they could get creative by moving John Franklin Myers and Jeffrey Simmons to edge on some downs. Jermaine Johnson, hopefully Femi returns to the form that he was getting into before he got hurt, and then still getting another edge rusher in the draft, a young, developmental edge. Jermaine Johnson's on a 1-year deal, so either he's gonna earn his money or he's not. And I just think this is a situation where the Tennessee Titans could put a way better product on the field by if you go Ruben Bain, Arvell Reese, or David Bailey, and you strike out at your running back positions, and you bring back what we have now in the running back room with Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, Kalel Mullins, and Julius Chestnut. I just don't see that as something that's going to put any fear in any defense. Well, I think if you was to go the route, that I said go, if you added a Jacoby Lane in and you put Kalel Mullins here, because Kalel Mullins was a former linebacker, and then you was to cut Pollard and put if you was to cut Pollard and put Najee Harris there for $2.5 million, like, I mean, nobody gonna tell me that this doesn't look like an offense that can move the ball and score in the red zone. I think every single position across the board would be increased. And you add a tight end in the draft, you add a wide receiver in the draft, I think I had Markel Bell and Pat Coogan was my two offensive linemen that I added into this mix. And then on defense, adding in the players I added on defense, Zion Young into this mix of edge rushers. I think you could really come up with something. On your end, but see, I can hear him, and it's like my only frustration is like I literally just need 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I do what everybody else need. I just need 30 minutes. When adults stand right outside the door and yell, and the kids just won't simply close the door. If they close the door, you can't hear anything. But it's like they're fighting over absolutely nothing, bro. It's just like, for me, it's a respect thing. When anybody else get ready to do their stuff, I'm just like, I'll give y'all time and I'll get out the way. When it's time for me to make content, I used to stream 8, 10, 12 hours a day. I just need 30 to 90 minutes to record. Like, that's literally it. That's why I get frustrated. I just need a little bit of time. And say, what's up with Trent Richardson? Trent Richardson is doing podcasts and stuff now, right? Move Pete to right guard. No. I'm going to stop you there. Before I even read any of the rest of it, I'm not moving one of the best left guards in the league to right. No. I just think, like, when you look at Femi physically, like, if you take Arvell Reese, David Bailey, or Ruben Bain, I don't think any of those three are, like, a better athlete than Femi. Femi looks like he's cut from a cloth. You feel me? Like, I just think that, like, Femi, where he was starting to get last year, setting a hard edge, like if him and Jermaine Johnson just set hard edges and collapse the pocket, I think it could be one or more of those type of defenses that stop the run and collapse the pocket, and could be sending nickels or sending linebackers, or just really like smothering teams. I don't think. I mean, I've got a mock where I took Dennis Sutton at 101. But if you do go Jeremiah Love at 4, I really think the quality of the edges that will be, like if you're saying Zion Young, TJ Parker, and R. Mason Thomas, Cassius Howell are there at 35, bro, you got to take them. You see what I'm saying? Like if I go Jeremiah Love and I turn around and add one of those 4 guys, it don't matter which one, like we adding in like some excitement on the defensive line. I think, you know, if the receivers start falling and you got Chris Bell, Jeremy Bernard, Chris Brazel, all those receivers stacked up in the second, I think you could be patient that you was able to get Red back. I think if without bringing Red back, I think it changes the game. Because this is something that I wanted to say that I got distracted earlier and I couldn't think to say. If Khalil Mullins or Tony Pollard or Tajay Spears was to run 4 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, we would think that the Titans would be dumb to not offer a contract. So why wouldn't you think about that with Najee coming off an injury, right? Because most of the players that we've taken, a lot of these guys going to have injuries. It's just like who's had time to heal and come back. The same with Ridley. Like, what receiver are you taking at pick 35 or pick 66 that you really think is going to progress to be a better NFL wide receiver than Calvin Ridley? So it's like you got to really believe in whatever you burning the pick on to say that I think this guy I'm burning the pick on will be better than everybody that we currently have had at that position. Like, I think at his worst, Jeremiah Love would be a better running back than every running back on the roster in their careers. So I think that's why I feel like he's the safer pick. I think when you think about Ruben Bain, is Ruben Bain going to turn out to be better than? Is he going to turn out to be better than Jermaine Johnson, Femi? Is he going to turn out to be better than Harold Landry was? Is he going to turn like you have to be sure of the person that you're picking in the first and second round, that this person is going to be somebody that develops into somebody that makes us forget about who was there before them. I wouldn't wait to 60. I wouldn't wait past 66. Now, Joe Blacko, let's say they already know they're going to bring Zietler back and they don't intend to start Sloatman or Jackson Slater, and they take the best center in the draft at 35 or 66, I don't think nobody would be mad if we drafting a center at 35 or 66 that they're saying is going to be a day one starter. I wouldn't trip on that. I wouldn't care about a receiver, a cornerback, or edge if they were saying that. Two-time, what up? So I think that's where I see it. I think that's what I see. I think Jeremiah Love, playing devil's advocate, I think Jeremiah Love is the better pick. I think when you going with Bain or Reese, like, are we so hype on Bain because we seen Reese have a bad pro day? What if Reese would have had a great pro day? Would we still be so sure on Bain? I think if they drafted David Bailey at 4, I don't even think he's a starter. I think he comes in on third down and rushes the passer. I think, first down, I don't think he's on the field. That's just my thought. Right? Like that's just my thought. I think if we draft Jeremiah Love, we know this guy's gonna have 1,000-yard season and have 10 touchdowns. I think you gotta give Cam Ward that. I think that's why I wanted to do this episode of Devil's Advocate, was to say, like, if I had to put one against the other and just really start thinking about it, like, it will push me to the decision that needs to be made, which is just take Jeremiah Love if he's there at 4. I really believe that. And playing devil's advocate, like Robert De Niro. I mean Al Pacino. I don't know why I'm thinking Robert De Niro. Like Al Pacino, like Keanu Reeves. Like, let me sit here and make the decision. I think Jeremiah loves the pick. Moochie say, check your app. Just did a mock where Love is Gone at 3. Ended up with Bailey, Ahenicha, Jadarian Price, Bryce Lance. Interesting. All right, chat. That's a flat hour. This stream was not our best day. But we got through it. We here. I'm gonna show up for the good days and the bad days. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Make sure y'all tapped in on the YouTube. I'm going to drop some more. I got something coming this week. I want to wait till it comes. And hopefully my hat from the pro shop from my initial Tennessee Titans order gets here. And then I could do Vintage Titan episode 2. But I'm going to keep the reels coming daily. Appreciate y'all, man. God first in the chat. And we out.